The Otter African Trail Run proudly brought to you by Faces. The 2020 Otter African Trail Run was retro, so running west to east from Nature's Valley to Storms River. Clear skies, spring low tides and calm conditions made for near-perfect trail running at an event taking place thanks to stringent COVID-19 protocols and plenty of thinking out of the box. It provided an opportunity to race again for South Africa's elite and a few international athletes.
Super excited for the Otter 2020. It's been a long time coming and super excited to just be able to get out there and race today. I think, the competition is always going to be tough, but I'm going out there with my own goals. I'm ready to just race myself and, whatever happens out there happens.
Tony was in the first batch, the Abageni, which is the Zulu word for do not enter. It is an elite selection decided by a prologue the day before.
There will be some records broken by the elites. Beautiful, beautiful morning today.
It's awesome. It's just great to be back. I'm actually looking forward to sharing a day on the trail with some friends. Some excitement, but also some nerves.
Not sure what to expect, but yeah, really excited. And for me, I love the combination of kind of coastal trails and mountains, so I think it's going to be an epic day and conditions are pretty perfect out there.
Nature's Valley is situated to the east of Plettenberg Bay. The start sees 2 climbs before you hit Andre. Next is the infamous Krans River crossing with 3 more climbs before you hit Oakhurst, and then a Goo Munchie Point around 25 kilometers in. The route undulates till Scots, where some serious climbing awaits. It's mostly downhill after Ngubi, but technical.
This is not only the top South African field, these South Africans are global leaders in the sport. And we can see it in their times, we can see it in the way they're running, that these guys will compete internationally. So the field is amazing. I saw in the prologue yesterday it's more competitive than I actually expected. And I think we've got a real race on our hands. And hats off to them to keep prepared during this time, keep training. And you saw their times, it's quicker than ever.
The 2020 prologue saw Sifiwe Nkombi blitz the route in 20 minutes and 11 seconds ahead of Mvusi Mxoxo and old foes Kay Riley and Johan van Heerden. McCain topped the women's timesheet over 1.5 minutes ahead of Bianca Teboten.
3, 2, 1, away they go!
The race got underway at 7 a.m. with the defending champions leading everyone out, respectfully keeping their masks on until they were clear of the crowd. Like McCann, Van Heerden was looking to go back-to-back, adding the Reto to his classic win last year. A pack of 5 were quick to develop, with Rory Scheffer and Daniel Klaassen joining Van Heerden, Riley and Nkombi as they headed off the beach for the first of around 7,000 steps of the day. The climb was followed by a run along the top of the cliffs before descending to Andre's hut. In 2019, Van Heerden's win came at Riley's expense, denying Kane an elusive and much-coveted first Otter title. This may not be the Alps or Pyrenees, but put a foot wrong on the Otter Trail and risk a nasty fall.
Well, this is the 12th year of the event on South Africa's iconic Otter Trail, South Africa's most famous trail. So it's been an incredible journey, incredible experience to see how the event has grown and how it's attracting the cream of the crop in South Africa and a massive international field.
Ultra running superstar Ryan Sands happy to be in a competitive environment again. McCann, born and bred in KZN, now calls Cape Town home. Seemingly floating up each step, she was followed by Spanish-Dutch lady Rania de Bats.
think the Otter is an absolute unique event. It feels a great honor to be here actually because first of all to be able to compete with these circumstances we are having with the COVID, and of course also because we heard that it's a route which only opens once a year to runners, and I think it's all studied up to perfection. We feel very much looked after. We can just tell that everything is very well organized, and I feel very grateful that events can still go on and that we can compete.
This is all about giving back. We've had 10 years of loyalty from participants, from sponsors, from sandparks, and this is about giving back. And we went to great expense and great effort to put on this, but this was our chance to give back to the elites, to the normal participants, to the sponsors, and to the team. You know, let's do this for the team. Let's people still go out of their way to put on a race, and Faces has done that consistently post-lockdown, and we will continue to do it. And it will be a year where it will come at great cost and effort, but that's what we're about. We're about the participants, we're about the race.
The organisers have put on such a superb job here. It's really such a privilege to be here, and especially in this time that we are currently going through. So for them to put on such a show and to, get us all here together in a safe manner, it's just been such a privilege, and super grateful that they've managed to pull this all together for us.
From Otter to Rhino Peak Challenge and Grail of Trail, Riley and Van Heerden's rivalry has become legendary over the past years. At this stage, however, Nkombi and Sheffer were not to be taken for granted either. After the first stretch of beach and climb up the ridgeline, 6 kilometers of stunning views of the sea was followed by a descent into the first section of forest, showcasing the incredible diversity of the route. The Klipprivier section was rocky, anything but easy, but also presents an insight for novice into how tough the 5 kilometers of Reto will be.
Putting on an event in the backdrop of this pandemic has been immensely challenging, but at the same time, it's very rewarding. As humans, we are intrinsically social creatures, and we need to be outdoors and in nature. And I think everybody is really desperate. So we'll find a way that we believe we could put on a safe event, a compliant event, and get people out to what they're yearning for, what they're absolutely yearning for, and that's to be able to run in an amazing environment like this.
The Otter hasn't earned the nickname of the Grail of Trail for nothing. It's stunning yet challenging.
The trail really has such diversity and such beautiful views the whole way through that you can't really not come back. It grabs your heart really, and the community here is just next to none. So super grateful to be here and super psyched. I'll keep coming back every year as long as I can.
McCann burst onto the trail running scene in 2018 and hasn't looked back. Already with a Reto South African record time and a classic win, she wanted to go even faster in her back-to-back attempt. She was putting distance into De Batz, Bianca Teboten and Nicolette Griffioen.
The trail is beautiful, and this year with COVID, it's just so nice to finally be able to get out and do some events. So I'm really happy that Otter is a go-ahead, and I'm looking forward to just being out there on the trail and doing a bit of racing, even if it's for a time and not a position.
A great battle for second between 2018 Trail World Champion De Batz and Teboten.
Well, South African national parks have been absolutely fantastic. So they have been as keen, if not keener, to see us on the trail than anyone else. I think the way they view a trail running event like this is we have the ability to engage a much wider audience and get a lot of people to value our wildernesses, and that's their critical key factor. And that is at this stage in time on planet Earth, valuing wilderness is one of the key things. these areas are like this. They are pristine because people have taken great cares to keep them so. And they're under immense pressure across the globe. And you can actually feel that pressure year by year. More and more people. And so this is a way to communicate to people, to engage a bigger audience. And for them, it's been an opportunity. And that's the way they've embraced this event. And we're very grateful for the way they have worked with us.
Want to be here. This is the best place to be. Everyone should have been here. It's unfortunate that we had to limit the numbers, but other than that, this is the best place to be, the best part of the country. Come to Garden Route, come this festive season, it's the best place to be. We've got so much more to do in this area.
A steep climb away from Andre's hut brings more running along the top of the cliff before a descent back down to the beach and the infamous Krans River crossing. Krans is known for more than just its bungee jump, and fortunately this year, low spring tide meant a shallow crossing. Riley and Van Heerden having pulled away by this point. Despite large swells offshore, a shallow Krans made a relatively quick crossing for Sheffer and Nkombi. Having finished third last year, Christian Krans was on the hunt again.
Yeah, this race is quite special, and every year I say I think it's my last Otter, and then whenever the entries open, I just find myself to enter once again, and it keeps on. You know, it keeps on luring you back. It's an exciting race. It's a beautiful scenery. It's a tough competition out there, and to me, it's every time I'm trying to beat my previous best time, and I've been managing to do that ever since, except for last year. So there's always something to come back for.
All of the top three ladies loving the crossing, which while shallow, it was still proving a nice cool relief from the rising temperature. Otter trail hike stories of having to swim the whole way with packs over your head seemingly a fallacy to this Reto 2020 field. Okay, so there was a bit of a hair-raising moment for some, but for the large part, it was a real lacquer experience and very much what you signed up for. The Krans River crossing navigated, it was off to the next stop, Oakhurst Hut, 20 kilometers into the race. We talk of cliffs and beaches, but there's very little sand in this part of the world. Rocks and pebbles generally making up the break from the constant up and down. Riley and Van Heerden leading the way on the trails. Sheffer, a phenomenal runner, having a great day on the Tsitsikamma trails too. Pere Orol, the Spanish skyrunner, started cautiously and was on the charge and looking strong. Nkombi had dropped back to fifth, with Krans pushing to move up two in his quest for another podium. For Yisi Nkonto, who narrowly missed out to Krans last year, was moving up too, hoping to improve on his fourth place. McCann not too far behind him in 8th overall.
Biggest competition, my own self. I've got my times, I've got my splits that I want to hit. I'm really here just to push myself, be part of the race vibe. I'm excited to be out here with some really tough competition, but you know, at the end of the day, it's about how I felt on the day, and I think, yeah, I'm feeling good, I'm excited and ready to go.
De Bats is 15 years McCann's senior. Having slipped behind Suboten, she was still looking strong. Despite this brutal section of the race, spirits remain high amongst the competitors. The next inlet was Irresistible. Holding third, De Bats is a former Trail World Champion and 2017 European Skyrunning Champion. Krans holding on to fourth position at this stage. It was well spaced out in the ladies' race through Irresistible. Having broken his Otter duck last year, Van Heerden was happy to let Riley take up the pacing for now. Absorbed in their personal battle, they were not aware of the fast approach threats behind them. Ariel loving the indigenous forest in the region known for its massive yellow woods. Schäfer's chances of a podium seemed to be slipping as the race entered its final stages. From Oakhurst to Gumanchi Point, the climb started to mix up the field a bit before running towards and past Scott and Ngubi, and then onto the finish at Storms River mouth. McCann barely seems to touch the ground as she floats along, holding off Suboten, De Bats and Krans.
I think my strengths would be the technical parts of the run and hopefully the climbing, as I've done a bit more elevation this year. Definitely not the flat parts, so we'll just see.
People don't need any encouragement to come to Africa to run and to enjoy our wilderness. We've got the combination that few other countries have got. So a lot of places beautiful coastlines, a lot of places beautiful mountains, a lot of places beautiful oceans. We've got the unique combination in a short space, and I think that's what the guys come for. This race, guys who have come and run it, they've spread our reputation far and wide, and we ended up becoming the final of the Golden Series 2 years ago. So I think they just need to be able to get on a plane, and that's the restriction at the moment.
Yeah, and like for us, we like to partner with iconic races, and I mean, Otter, there's no other race like it in the country, and for the brand to be associated with the endurance race, and I mean that was the reason why the product was developed is always great.
With much of the race run on cliffs, rocks and beaches, the shaded forested sections are always welcomed. Suboten, who was 6th last year, was comfortably holding off the international challenge of De Bats. The last section of the Reto takes you from the picturesque waterfall all the way to Storms River's mouth rest camp, While not everyone can do the Otter trail hike, let alone the African trail race, anyone can walk from the rest camp to the waterfall. If you have not been to the Tsitsikamma region of the Greater Garden Route National Park, do yourself a favor and do visit Storms River and take a hike to the waterfall. It's a tough but exceptionally rewarding walk. With 5 kilometers to go, Van Heerden had pulled away from Riley. The last section is tough and Ariel was loving the technicality of the rocks. Van Heerden looked to be tiring and the Spaniard pounced. Looking smoother and fresher, Ariel ran negative splits to reel in over a 6-minute gap between himself and the leaders. While almost home, it's easy to make a mistake and can end your race. Foam from the ocean, making the rock slippery. With the crowd pulling you home makes the last climb to the finish more manageable. Ariel taking the Otter African Trail Run title.
Y la verdad que muy contento de ganar aquí y la recomiendo a todo el mundo porque es una carrera preciosa que mezcla la montaña con el mar.
And he says that it's one of the most beautiful races that meets the sea with the mountain next to each other. He loved it and recommends to everybody.
Despite not being able to defend his crown, Van Heerden gave it his all. In narrowly finishing second, he beat the South African Reto record in a time of 4 hours, 3 minutes and 50 seconds. Kane Riley in third, 7 minutes off the pace.
I did okay, but on the rock garden I was just out on my legs and he came past me and I didn't see him at all. I was looking back all the time, but I was expecting Kane maybe, and suddenly he just came past me on those rocks and broke my spirit a little bit. But it is what it is. He's a magnificent world-class athlete and he's won some big races, so I can definitely feed off his experience and the way he ran it.
Well done to the Spanish skyrunner and the top 10 finishers finishing their respective races in sub 5 hours. The race was still on behind them. There were still many runners strewn across the route, with women's leader Tony McCann not far from the finish. An overall record time looked to be eluding her, but this effort was still very fast. Tony McCann broke her own record for fastest South African time by 1.5 minutes, finishing the Reto in a new record time of 4 hours, 40 minutes, 30 seconds.
I beat my time from 2 years ago, and that for me was the goal for the day, just to better that time. So I'm incredibly happy, and just to be racing again, it's a really, really special thing, and it feels like such a privilege to be here. So yeah, sorry. Yeah, so really, really happy about just being here and being able to experience this route because it is just so special.
Having pulled away from Rania de Bats in the second half of the race, Bianca Teboten worked hard for a second place to secure a South African 1-2.
Flip, it was so nice. I felt really good the whole run, which was a really big change from last year. So it was really, really beautiful, and yeah, I had a really good run. I'm really happy with how it turned out.
Rania de Bats taking third at the 2020 Otter African Trail Run. Well done to the top 10 female finishers, crossing the line in less than 7 hours.
I think, it's something indescribable. I heard it summed up the other day in an old movie, Chariots of Fire, where the one runner has this big conflict within him, whether he follows his religion or whether he runs. And he has a debate with his sister, and he says, I feel God's pleasure when I run. And I tell you what, there's something that happens when you run out in nature, and it's something really hard for me to quantify and describe. And I think, at the finish line yesterday, I had the opportunity to greet every single runner across the line, and I think they felt that too. That is the bottom line. There's a million reasons why not to do something like that, and then you get to that point where you see it in somebody's eyes, and it's really worth it.
Bring your fire.
The Grail of Trail living up to its reputation again. See you in 2021. The Otter African Trail Run brought to you by Faces.